I feel like sometimes magic is like mafia. I can't get out of it. I'm still
You're
here.
stuck.
I'm stuck, but at least I'm stuck. I feel on my own terms now. Whereas before I felt a little trapped that, I'm boxed as this magician for magicians and I'll just teach cardistry forever. So yeah, it's a fun journey. It's a journey overall that I feel brought me definitely more joy than the negative thoughts. And with anything, you're going to go through periods where you want to give up. And my encouragement to folks is like, I think most folks don't succeed because they give up too early, whether they're practicing something or trying to create content. Like, you just have to be super stubborn and just go for it, and not give up.
Ekaterina, so awesome to be with you, and welcome onto the Vanish podcast.
Thank you for having me. Awesome to finally connect. We've been chatting for a little bit, so this is great.
I know we've been chatting for a little bit, but I've been watching you for years. And I was just telling you before we jumped on that, like, there's so many of your tutorials that you make them look so easy. And I'm like, I try thinking I've got all the confidence in the world. And then I'm like, but how? How does she do it?
I think anyone can learn anything. And this is why I started sort of the Let's Learn series. I think literally you could learn anything if you just try. It does take patience. And I have an 11-year-old boy and he asks me the same question. He tries the tutorial and he's like, it doesn't work. He just gives up. And I'm like, well, you just have to do it over and over again and then have a little bit of progress and not give up. So I think, the frustration is giving up a little bit too early. But I think anyone can learn anything.
So how did you deal with that level of patience early on?
For me, it was therapeutic. And that's why, cardistry took over a little bit in my time. Like from practicing magic, I started to do cardistry just for myself. And I needed that sort of discipline. And thinking back, that was 20 years ago now that I've been doing magic professionally, and cardistry just a few years later. But I just had the patience and it was therapeutic for me. I was a very introverted person. I say I was because folks that meet me, they're like, there's two ECATs. There's the ECAT, like the super calm and like relaxed. And then there's the ECAT presenting or on stage. And I train myself to get into more of that kind of persona. It's still me, but I have to, give more of myself. So then after I'm done giving so much energy, I usually then have to go back by myself with the cards or any other objects or do anything that I'm practicing. And it recharges me, it calms me down. So it's a way for me to sort of deal with life. I just like to practice things.
Yeah.
I enjoy the progress of learning something. I don't have patience in everything in life, but just practicing skills, I do have the patience. And I remember one comment from my family because they saw me go through a range of skills, and one was whistling. And some of my most viewed videos are on the topic of whistling. And I could not whistle. Any type of whistle, I could not do it. And the hardest one I was learning that took me 2 months was the bird whistle, which I'll try to attempt shortly. But the bird whistle, I sounded for 2 months in my house like this, like it was crazy. I was like spitting everywhere. Like,
sounds like
can't figure this out. But right. But I was like, I can learn this. And I looked up every possible video on the topic. There's still a second variation of where you place your tongue that I haven't, tackled yet. But the first variation is when you put your tongue on top. So it's a softer whistle, not the loudest whistle. And now I have to attempt. So
yeah, please.
Right? So it needs to be like the soft, like needs to sound like a bird. So that's the bird whistle. And funny part, someone even like cardistry and magician Orbit Brown, he made a video reacting to that, sort of like a little parody. But I find it fun that people engage with the content knowing like it is hard skills and it's not as easy to pick it up, but it is doable and I'm proof of that. And I think I teach things better when I don't know how to do them and I go through the process of learning. And then I try to condense that in a very clear format. And it's a format that also is understood by, I feel, the algorithm. So I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, just making content for the algorithm that then is delivered to the right people who are as crazy as me and want to learn. And apparently that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people. So what is that quality in you that's just like, do you find something impossible and go, I can't do that, so I'm going to make sure I do that even if I don't sleep?
Absolutely. That's the mindset. Yeah. That is absolutely the mindset. I look at skills. There's a few skills on my list that I'm learning, and it's been a year for some of them, and I still don't have it. Some of them I found was just like my physical limitation. Like, so there's one let's learn I definitely want to do, which is how to do a push-up, but I'm not there yet. And I've been trying since October, and I just want a perfect form push-up from like toes to arms, and I'm not there yet. But the crazy part with the whole push-up challenge, I am documenting how I'm doing push-ups on my stories. I don't know if you've seen some of them. It's a little embarrassing. But I did have a very intense work schedule last year where for the first time, I like really overextended myself. And, you know, I like to introduce myself as a mom, a marketing executive, and a magician. And I was doing all three, and I really pulled more on the marketing executive side, where I was asked to support both Canada and US as the VP of marketing. And that meant I had to travel 50% of the time for the 5 months that I did. And it was absolutely crazy. Travel just like damaged my body so badly, where usually when you're in your 60s, you start to have the certain joint pain that I experienced. So I went to a chiro, and he's like, your joints, your SI joint specifically, it's like you were 60 years old at this point. So you have to do something like stop traveling. I'm like, I can't stop traveling. Like this is, you know, I have to finish my mandate. And then, so mainly how you get the problem is if you sit in a unequal, uncomfortable position, not ergonomic for too long, repeatedly over and over, this is when your joints give up. So I had that. And so from May to October, I had the worst joint pain, and I couldn't work out. I couldn't do any physical exercise. I had gained 20 pounds, which some people noticed and then the comments is like, are you pregnant? Or don't say that, by the way, if you notice someone gain weight. But basically like a bunch of like, or some people would compare with old videos and it will be like, hey, you know, it looks like you're gaining weight. So I'm like, okay, clearly health-wise struggling here. How do I maintain this mandate, juggle creating content, and also be home, you know, for my family? So I decided that, you know, for the first time, I had to admit to myself, I am not a superwoman. I can't do everything to this level of intensity. So we hired someone to take care of the US. So now my scope is back to only Canada, and I don't have to travel to the US as much. But yeah, I kind of made peace with, I'm okay not being a superwoman. I have to scale back on certain things. And so when I finished that mandate in October, I was like, you know what, let me make my first story, which shows the world that I cannot do a push-up, and I will document and just set that challenge, and we'll see how long it takes me. So from not being able to do any push-ups, I now can do 10 really good form push-ups for my knees, and I'm working through to, again, no knee support. My form is still not where I want it to be before I make that Let's Learn video. But every time I would post a story updating, I would get comments of what I should do better. And so basically my audience is helping me learn how to do push-ups. And then in return, I'm hoping that I can achieve by the end of the year the video of how to do push-ups. But coming from someone who could barely move because of the joint issues, like I could not like bend down to pick up something, to being able to do push-ups now is like a huge thing that I ask, you know, from my body. And obviously from just doing push-ups, almost no joint pain anymore. And I've lost the 20 pounds that I gained. So there's some benefits. Only doing push-ups, like literally nothing else changed in my life. So love
crazy. This has just turned into a health podcast.
I know. So please do push-ups. It's really good for you. And yeah, obviously stand up. Don't sit all the time. Like, and even in this chair, I have like a specific cushion. So I'm very aware. And it was a scary observation to be like, wow, my body is reacting like a 60-year-old. Like, this is not normal. I'm not that young anymore, but also I should be able to move the way I want. So the next things I want to pick up as skills is things with jump rope. I saw a lot of cool skills. I have no idea how to do it. I was asking my husband the other day, I'm like, do we have a jump rope? Like, I need to learn some stuff. He's like, oh no, not inside the house. So I have until the end of the summer, approximately to learn some jump rope. And there was a few things with like a basketball, a soccer ball I want to do. So that all requires your body to be able to train in a certain way. And I've been just so focused in magic and cardistry and other things that I do with only my hands. And my hands have reached a good level of dexterity. I would say above average, but the rest of your body needs to be also in the shape to learn. So that was the hard lesson. And I think a lot of people think this is the hardest part when you have to do something physical. So even though I can do certain things now, I can't imagine not trying to the point like of maybe 2-3 years before I get there.
That's so
yeah,
that line, I can't imagine not trying.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's a huge part of your success generally? Because so many people will just imagine not trying and then boom, wall goes up.
And then not try. Yeah, no, I never thought of it this way, but I guess, I used to think it's maybe because I'm wired a little bit differently. Like I see things a little bit differently and that's what makes me also really interested and curious in the business side too, which is also, you would argue, women, just now coming up to like executive positions. So it hasn't been always an equal playground either. And I'm like attracted to those areas, and not because there's not a lot of women in it. I'm just naturally attracted to those things. I would say the thing that I've also done at the same time as I started the Let's Learn series, because we talked about how important the body is and really being in sync and in shape for certain things. I made a decision almost 3 years ago now to also not drink alcohol anymore. And a lot of people are like, did you have a problem with alcohol? What happened? I believe people are on a spectrum of having a problem with alcohol. But for me, it was more, my son in the evening was like, oh, you want to relax after, a long day? He would actually tell me, can I bring you a glass of wine? And to me, that is not something I wanted to hear from my kid. I didn't want him to associate alcohol with relaxing or some kind of emotional reward. So yeah, I just cold turkey stopped. First I did like dry January. Then I'm like, can I wait till my birthday in March? And then I'm like, I feel really good. It's helping me like learn things because I'm very sharp. I don't lose a day in the week to recover, because also the older you get, the longer the recovery time after a night of drinking. And again, even if it's a glass of wine or that was a big thing that helped me like focus and stay sharp for learning all the things that I learned in a short period of time. So the downside of this is my mind is always on. So you would think like, okay, what do you do? Like, what do you do to relax? And obviously I haven't become a gym rat or running, or I haven't turned to exercise to get that adrenaline, because that could give you adrenaline. So I decided to get into a game that could be extremely painful. And that game is called poker. So at the same time as I stopped alcohol, I picked up poker and I made those videos. And every time that I felt I needed like an emotional release or just like blow some steam, I would go to a poker table. And so again, it's my third
Wait
year
a second. Stop.
Okay,
magician? Wait. A magician, a cardist, a marketer who picks up poker. You are like a weapon who should not be allowed in a casino.
So, and obviously, like, I'm highly recognizable from my videos, especially in casino settings. So people picked up that, oh, I recognize you. You did this.
Don't let her in.
Don't let her in. But then very quickly they learned that I'm fairly new to poker and I'm willing to spend some money. So I give a lot of action. I'm definitely not a tight player at the table. And I take a lot of risk playing poker. So in the first 2 years, I lost $10,000 playing poker. So I gave like a lot of, I call donations, so I was invited to every single game that happens because I was a really good player to have. Probably the fish at the table. But yeah.
So do you have a very strategic and mathematical mind? Because that's what you need for a lot of the strategy stuff.
You do need to study and understand the math. And I do some work towards that every single day.
How many hours do you have in your days? What's going on in your world? Right. How do you find the extra time?
And so here, it is very time consuming. So the one aspect I want to do more work on is having more sleep, but I'm not able to do that right now. So I do like play maybe between, like if it's me practicing online, it could go from like 10 to 12. So I put in at least, 2 hours a day, just, practicing and learning from some theory, applying the theory, comparing, because everything has been solved from a math perspective. They call it GTO. So there's a game optimized theory for playing poker, and you can plug in any solution and it will give you the right answer, whether you have to call or not call, etc. So the math has solved poker online. So when I play online and practice online, it's purely to get the math down. But then when I go physically play poker, which is what I enjoy more than online, because online is a bit boring, this is where you're tested emotionally because your opponents are trying to get, to you on a psychological level. Especially I felt for me because I realized quickly, if I'm fun at the table, I will win more money than if I like try to be serious. And so I'm trying different tactics, but sometimes you're just tired. And if you're tired, you're gonna make mistakes. Yeah. So I have a lot of mental game scars from playing poker, but it's helping me deal with emotions. And again, from if you have a hard day at work, I rather go on a poker table and express those feelings. And I know when I do that, I know I will lose between, $500 to $1,000 that day, or I could, accidentally win. And, so the first 2 years, lots of losses, playing, learning the game, going through that emotional roller coaster until year 3. And in year 3, in one day, I had won $24,000, which more than covered my loss. Yeah. And so you could go from extreme low and then just one day you make all the right decisions, and
that's crazy.
Things
Do you
fly.
think,
Yeah.
Do you think there's any transferable skills from magic to poker?
I would say the only transferable skill would be like being able to read what is the reaction of your opponents at the table and what is the right time to start to look for tells. So, I've never played poker with Spidey, who does hypnosis and behavior analysis online, but I would be scared to play against him just because he's so good at reading you. And we play other games when we hang out, which is like, werewolf or sometimes it's called mafia. So I love those kind of social games. So for me, poker is very similar. You're trying to not give out any information as you play. And you cannot be successful in poker if you don't pull a bluff at some point in time. You can't just always have the cards. So you have to know your math. You have to open with the right cards, give yourself the most mathematical chances to win. And then you have to extract the most value out of your opponents. And sometimes, even though you did every single step right, the river gives someone a better hand. You cannot do anything but to call whatever the bet is. So for me now, my weaknesses, or what I'm trying to work on, is sometimes with, again, luck, someone could get there on the river. Can I fold after I've invested so much money into the pot? And so far the answer has been no. And every time I see the result, I ask myself, would I be more upset because they won't show their cards if they're pulling a bluff, or whether they got it. Most good players will not reveal their cards. So for me, it's like the price to pay to see if I'm right or wrong. But it's so painful when I learn I could have folded, even with one chip at a table, you still have, life instead of going all in. So very, very intense from an emotional perspective, but I love it. Back to me being able to be patient. I could sit at a table for over 12 hours, which is the average time of a tournament. So anywhere that I travel, I try to find a local game, a tournament or a cash game. And I test my skills versus opponents that maybe even don't speak English. So I was in Italy for FISM a couple of weeks ago. The first thing I did is look through my app. I have like a poker app and it tells you where there's games. And in Italy, tournaments are legal to play by poker club. You don't have to go to a casino. So I found a poker club because the casino was like an hour and a half away. So it was a little bit far. And so I go in and no one speaks English. I just like point to like the game I want to join the tournament. It was 50 euros and it was the day I arrived, Sunday. So I was a little bit jet lagged, but I'm like, let me just relax because no one really arrived yet, or everyone is in the process of arriving. So there's not really much happening. Let me just go play some poker. And I sit down at the table. I sit down maybe at 6 p.m. and I'm there till 3:30 in the morning. We are 5 people left as the final table. And in like broken English, they're trying to tell me that they want to stop the game and just split the money in 5. And I've not seen this in North America. In North America, they do deal between maybe 2 players, maybe 3, but never like 5 people who are left. They fight it out in North America. So in Italy, like, let's just stop here. We played long enough. Like, let's just divide, And so we each left with 500 euros. I didn't argue with them. I'm like, yeah, perfect. Let's do it. So the first game I played there, I managed to win. And only because, I was emotionally stable. They also couldn't read me or understand me. So that gave me a little bit of an edge. So no matter what I said, even if I said something accidentally, they couldn't understand me. So that was a lot of fun. And then I used that money to go to the dealers, and I bought a lot of magic tricks. So yeah, that was
always goes back to magic. That's awesome.
Exactly. So I didn't actually make any money that trip. And I told some people the next day, like I went to play poker and, I don't know, it sometimes surprises people or they wonder like why do I have the patience to play from like 6 to 3:30 in the morning? But I find it super stimulating for your brain to make a decision literally 31 minutes. Like, yeah, in an hour, you're making so many decisions that there's no way you get bored if you're
Yeah.
engaged in the game.
For
People
you,
don't
that's
understand.
relaxation, which is
And
crazy.
for me, that's relaxing. Yes. Like it's
Like that, like, if anything, that's like such turbocharged, high power brain capacity required.
yeah.
You're like, this is just me chilling out.
Yeah. Sometimes I try to like rationalize my, losing the 20 pounds by, I think, playing poker because the brain kind of utilizes a lot and then the push-ups. So for me, I think poker and push-ups is the reason why,
Okay.
I got a little bit more fit. But yeah, you don't think about anything. You don't think about food, obviously. No one that's on like any kind of amateur pro level would drink alcohol at the table. Like they want to stay sharp throughout and get an edge and then the goal is obviously to win some money. So third year, profitable poker player, but still watching for my weakness, which is for now, not being able to fold after I've invested so much into a hand.
Yeah.
So each hand I cannot fold, it's thousands of dollars lost. So
Crazy.
working through it, but yeah, I don't know if I'll ever give it up, but because you do develop a little bit of an addiction. But for now, I think,
Just as an outsider, to say that you
Yeah.
went from Canada to Italy and the first thing you did was open your poker app and ask where you could go. It does look like a mild addiction
Yeah.
as an observer.
tiny bit. Yeah. So instead of my son saying to me, can I bring you a glass of wine? Now he's like, are you going to play poker, tonight or not? And I say, yeah, I'm gonna play poker. And he's like, didn't you say that you're gonna stop if you like become a profitable player? I'm like, but if I stop, I right now don't have a substitute that would keep me engaged. So for now, I'm in it. And again, back to profit. We'll see how long the profit lasts. But yeah, I'm excited to at least stay sharp and try something different that challenges me, and also being able to test things out because as a marketing executive, I have to be at a certain kind of behavior level. I can't just, go rogue and try something different. I have to pretty much stick. Maybe in a magic show, I could try something different, but still it wouldn't fit my character. But in a poker table, you can play any character you want. Like your best acting skills need to come out.
Yeah. That's
and,
cool.
and yeah. And I noticed whenever I act the most like unlike me, which is more outgoing and like, again, trying to engage with people, this is where I have the most success because then everyone's guard kind of goes down. And so made a lot of poker friends and still I play at least once a week and we'll see how that goes. But what I haven't started to do or what I stopped actually doing, because I did post a few videos that were poker themed. I pulled those down because there's a lot of young folks that also watch my videos and I don't want it to become a gambling platform.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll open a separate one day, but I still don't think kids are ready to experience those kind of emotions no one should ever play with money they don't have also. So anyway, so there's a lot of things that I'm very aware of that I don't want to become a negative influence. And my platforms right now, the mission is just to teach people to be sort of the mom of the internet and to make it a happy place. So there's nothing that's negative in the content I put out. And that is super important for me. And obviously not everything in someone's life is positive, ups and downs, but my social media needs to reflect, only positive stuff and let the negative be me failing, learning something.
Yeah.
But not, show anything that could result in negative stuff. So trying to keep it upbeat and positive, but it is a passion of mine. So it's a little segment on poker.
So when it comes to YouTube, you were like the OG, like you got into it when blogging was the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
How did you intuitively know that YouTube was the platform that now everyone is dying to be on? Like you caught the wave so early.
Yeah. I think the first account I created was Ecat 2006. And I have a few, maybe you can still track it down. I have a few old videos. I just lost credentials to that account. So I had to create another account in 2007. And I called the account, again, I was a teenager at the time. I called it Baby Cat XD. And XD is meant to be like the smiley face.
It sounds like
really
an old
like
Hotmail address, babycat@hotmail.com.
That was pretty much my email too until I changed things to.
By the way, if anyone gets, if you send her some fan mail at babycat@hotmail.com.
Yeah, no, it's not going to work. I lost the credentials to that one too. But yeah, that was an interesting one. So I couldn't change the name for the longest time, but I just, I don't know why. Being introverted, I still felt compelled to post something online. And I love the concept of strangers being able to evaluate your work, because it didn't matter to me because they were strangers. And little did I know how close the world is, because I met a lot of these strangers in life afterwards. But I was like, what is the risk? Like, no one knows me. I'm just going to do it. And again, I'm baby cat XD. Like, what is the risk? And I would say I took quite a bit of risk younger with the internet. So definitely, I think young people should be careful. And that's what I tell my son, like, do not meet people from the internet after you engage with them. But yeah, I started 16 years old uploading content, because at that time I started to already take some professional kind of corporate gigs, and I figured I need some just feedback. And after I posted those videos, I remember my 4th subscriber and the comments I would get. And I was excited because I had 4 people watching my content. Now, when you're a woman in this field, whether you want it or not, there's going to be a spotlight from magicians specifically. Whether you're good or bad or whatever, you're posting content. Maybe an early mistake of mine also in my magic career, I felt like, I really kind of then catered to that audience with my videos. So instead of then me posting a lot of performances and getting feedback, I ended up being more like, okay, now I'm making content for magicians. And being boxed as a magician for magicians wasn't very good for the development of my magic career. And it took me a very long time. So it took me from that moment, 16 years old, posting those videos, up to only 3 years ago. Only 3 years ago, I decided not to create content for magicians, which was a big shift. And sometimes I would still get, in the comments, like, how do you go from magic reviews to now, how to crack an egg with one hand? Like, how do you go there? And I don't have to explain myself, because I can do whatever I want, right? But it took me that long. And I did take a break creating content, after I felt uninspired to continue doing magic reviews, because at some point I was getting any type of product, and the quality of the products diminished over time of what I was receiving. And my goal was to be very honest and blunt in the reviews. That's why people were watching. So I felt like it went into more the negative side than the positive. And I like to make positive content. That's why I transitioned to the content I make now. So wasn't inspired. Again, I'm only making content that's viewed by magicians. I'm stuck in this box. How do I get out of it? And then I felt also, okay, I'm in my 30s now. I'm a mom. Do I even want to risk putting myself out there at this point in time? Specifically when I also took several leadership positions where could have been perceived very silly for me to make those videos at the level that I'm at, trying to influence people to spend millions of dollars in one direction, and then also leading people who are twice your age. So that's a bit of a challenge. And I found the happy place of saying, if those folks don't like the content I make, that means it's not the right company for me to work at. So that's kind of the statement I decided to make. Awesome. So I definitely went on a journey of which company that I want to, work at. So I found the one that basically accepted me the way I am and followed my videos. And I'm even giving a workshop, at work on how to become a content creator to architects and designers very soon. So when I stopped caring about what people thought and gave myself permission to just be myself and create the content that I want to create, is when I felt, I found the right format. Yeah. And listening to my audience, I kind of leaned in and there's certain things that I said that they liked. So the Let's Learn was completely accidental. It was basically, I did want to make the tutorial type of series. And I was one of the first ones to make it in the short format. On YouTube, I've done the long format tutorials of cardistry for years, and they've had a good amount of views, but I've never tried it for shorts. And I'm like, how do I teach something so complex in 60 seconds? At the time, that was the limitation. And a lot of people who jumped on the TikTok and Instagram kind of shorts on YouTube very early on, they burned quite fast. They started, they reached a certain following, and then it kind of dropped off because either they run out of ideas for the content, or it's just too exhausting to keep creating these short form videos. Whereas a long form video, you make one every 2 weeks, once a week or once a month, you can still keep an engaged audience. So it required a lot of content to be created, and for you to show up every single week to create this content. So if you didn't like your format, you would not sustain being a content creator. So the number one thing I say is, if you want to become a content creator, you need to choose a format that you really enjoy, because you're going to do that until you're sick of this format. But I also want people to think as TV producers, when they create formats like the Got Talent format or like the Game of Thrones that had X amount of seasons, it's a format, but at some point it does end. Got Talent didn't end yet. The Game of Thrones did, and no one liked the ending. But at some point you notice that, people are ready for something else, and then you create a new format and you move on from it. So I haven't found yet where my Let's Learn format would end yet, because I'm just very excited to learn all sort of things, and maybe learning doesn't end, and I just like transfer the stuff to my son and he keeps teaching people. But
oh, nice.
I think you do get tired, definitely, of always creating content on a weekly basis. So
yeah,
a lot of people give up, and the moment you give up, you do lose that consistency with the algorithm, and all your stats drop. So it is pretty dramatic and pretty discouraging, but having a good mental game and not caring about the stats dropping is what then keeps you going.
So is that the actual secret? Because, every expert says something different, and everyone always blames it on the algorithm. What do you think the secret has been to your success?
The algorithm understands my content, and I'm training the algorithm to understand my content. So I'll give a very concrete example. So when I was posting cardistry videos, the algorithm didn't know what cardistry is. Now, if you go on TikTok and you see the search on top, you will see people search for cardistry. So now the algorithm knows about cardistry. So you can teach the algorithm. So when I learn about that, I embrace that. I'm like, I will teach the algorithm what cardistry is. But first I need to introduce, a term like card shuffle or card magic. So I wanted that to be very, and again, I'm a marketer, so I'm like, how do I make it very SEO friendly? So the algorithm for now is not like the AI that we have now, the models, but it's getting there. It's getting to a point where it can analyze video. But for now, it knows what you put in the caption. It knows what you're saying, because it's transcribing your content. So the moment I realized, because people would put a lot of titles on their content because people watch without sound. And I'm like, why would I waste time on that? It's already transcribing what I'm saying. So people just need to turn on the captions and they'll just read it. But then I realized in TikTok specifically, I could edit the caption. So then I'm like, wait, hang on. I didn't say this word, but it's a really good keyword like card magic or card shuffle. Let me plug it in, although I didn't say it. And so I plugged it in, and then I saw it appear in the search. So I plugged in a term that I never said in the video that helped the algorithm understand how to rank my video. So that was like a hack for me. Until now, you can edit the transcribed captions on TikTok. So if anyone was posting like dance videos on TikTok, they would never have a chance to get picked up unless somehow people engaged with the content or it was funny and started sharing. But the algorithm, just knows it's someone dancing, does not know how to really rank that video. Whereas for me, I told the algorithm, if anyone searches for card magic, you show my video now.
Yeah.
So then it started to show my video to people who were searching for that content. And then those people engaged because the format was engaging. And then it showed it to more people. And then it started to show my content to people who are not searching for card magic, which was, for me, the magic click. People who have nothing to do with magic now see my content. I'm out of the box. And then, I just basically decided to test it further and to see, okay, is it only cardistry that I can post now, or can I expand further? And in my first 60 days on Instagram, which is the amount of time I needed to reach 1 million, I was posting every other day.
Crazy.
And it was only cardistry. So I did 60 days, only cardistry. And the first 6 videos were me doing cardistry with bicycle cards because they mandated me for those tutorials. It was like my first sponsorship at the time. And in 4 out of 6 videos that I posted, I accidentally just said, let's learn. And then so with some of these videos that with my, keyword updating got ranked. And then people in the comments would pick up on that video. You didn't say, let's learn. Why you didn't say, let's learn? And then, it kept just building on that. And I'm like, okay, so it seems like people really care about let's learn. So my content series will be let's learn. So I tested different ways to like hook or intro it. So sometimes I say this is, sometimes I just go into it. But as long as I say, let's learn, now the algorithm knows I say that this is ECAT's content and people who don't know anything about this enjoy it. So I almost feel like, it just knows now my type of format and content. And so technically, and I've seen this happen, you could take my format try video, it will be picked up. There's chances if it's in good quality. So I've trained the algorithm to recognize what I'm doing. And so the other thing is I also leaned into the audio aspect. I mentioned earlier, I'm like more of a calm person as a baseline. And people picked up on that. And because I capture audio with a good microphone, folks compared it to like ASMR videos. So it became very relaxing for them. So now I'm like, okay, so let's learn is important. Relaxing tone, very calm is important. No like crazy edits, because I'm not Mr. Beast. I'm not trying to overstimulate the viewer. I'm trying to relax the viewer, get the viewer ready for learning something. And so that was the phase. And then I started to diversify. Obviously, some basic sleight of hand on magic sites started to show up, and I would try to teach the algorithm what I'm showing. And then I just went completely random and again into like cooking videos and any other skill. And cooking connects to my marketing job. So I was learning from top chefs, and I'm like, is it okay with you if I teach that? And they're like, it's so simple though. I'm like, but I'm sure people don't know this. So the more simple it is, I find like the more it like goes viral in this case, because people can just try it right away and see for themselves, like instant results. So some people may have found my content through magic and they say, I found your magic stuff, but I stayed for the random stuff. So if I didn't diversify and again, get out of the box where I was, then I wouldn't have reached literally everybody, because at the peak, my content can reach 50 million people a month across my platforms. And that's a reach I wasn't ready for. And I did, again, had to scale that down, and I scaled down how many videos I made. I just was not prepared for that reach. And it went a little bit too far for me, where in my local Vaughan Mills, which is like a mall near Toronto, I was getting recognized. And I'm like, this is too much. I have to scale down. It's nice, like when people approach you and they like your content, or they tell me their kids watch the content, which is funny because I'm pretty sure they do. But yeah, that was too much reach, and I scaled down a little bit. And I did ask myself the question, like, by scaling it down, am I going to kill the reach and the algorithm? And the answer is no. There is a sustainable way to do it. So I still get videos that go to 1 million views. It still happens when the content reaches the right people and is engaging enough. And then another aspect that I learned from television, and I didn't do any studies in TV, but I do a lot of commercials with top agencies. And the one key thing with those commercials is you have a hero character and then you have supporting characters. And the supporting characters are important because they build the hero. And then I started to ask myself, who is my supporting character? Can you guess? Cat Tiger is like, my sidekick. And I had 3 videos without Tiger. You can see in the comments, where's Tiger? Does Tiger approve this content? I miss Tiger. What is going on? So I've introduced my son as well, because it was really important for me. One, because he was engaged with creating content. I wanted to show him how it's done and have him, give it a try, because he was so engaged. He's still not 13 yet. He cannot have his own channel yet, but I think it's something he will be interested in. So he does a lot of VR stuff right now. But yeah, the cat is now a part of this concept and part of this format, and hopefully nothing happens to the cat.
Oh yeah, the cat is beloved. The cat is integral.
Very, very precious, to the point where there's a couple brand deals that I had with some really big companies. One of them I had already posted. One I will post in September. But Google had reached out, and that was a year ago, and it was their Google Pixel phone. And in their brief for the video I was creating for them, they said the cat must be there. Like, this is non-negotiable. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. And even when I went to Italy, a few folks asked me, did I bring the cat? And I'm like, it's a little silly to ask, but no, I did not bring the cat. So if I ever did like a big stage show, I think, although some folks might say it's like not good to use animals, I feel like if I don't bring, the cat, just to like
animals and children, you're violating 2 of the old-fashioned rules.
Yeah. So I'm definitely not using any of them without their consent. And Tiger, every time I film, he's just there. Right now, I close the door so he cannot come in, but he's just there. So I'm like, might as well film him because he's cute.
He's so cute.
So maybe I make cat videos now. Who knows? The format keeps evolving.
Oh, Matt, you will explode. Better clear your calendar, because you're just, that will take your millions into billions. So when you decided to go from magic audience to broad audience, as you would know, there is an ethos within the magic community. Don't teach magic to someone unless they want to be a magician. What did you face in terms of feedback around that?
It was definitely very divided and a lot of negativity as well and pushback from doing that. And a lot of it stemmed from folks who were used to me like making content, and I've released products for magicians, teaching magicians. So I know what it's like to be a creator who releases content for magicians. So some people felt maybe betrayed that I'm like, okay, instead of continuing doing that and only sharing those ideas with magicians, I'm now open to share some basic sleight of hand or ideas that, at least from my definition of what's okay to show, it's okay to show. And I had to figure out where to draw the line. And obviously, like those videos now, anytime I do a magic themed video, they do the worst. Those videos don't perform as well as the random stuff or the random skills. So I know the algorithm still pushes it out to magicians, which is a very small audience, or people who are interested in magic alone, which I think is very beneficial for magic companies because, again, I'm a marketer, so I know how important is the top funnel. If you don't bring new people into being interested in magic, who is going to buy the effects or the props? So you need that top funnel, and I do that for magic. So if you don't have the top funnel, it's just the same people. So, and then they create ads, and the ads themselves for some of these e-retailers, it's like magic revealed or magic exposed. They're really using those type of terms, some of them. And I'm like, this is crazy. So then push back on me for teaching a basic sleight of hand. And then in your own advertising, you're using keywords that people are searching for because you're building the top funnel of people who you want to convert to buying your products. So I had some, tough discussions for some. I decided to take the position of like not engaging with the negativity. So I have like a zero tolerance policy towards anyone that approaches me in a way that I think is disrespectful. So I have zero conversation. I know a lot of people complain that I block them, but I just block it. I'm like, there's no point.
You block and delete? Is that your block delete?
Block, delete. Yeah. Block, delete. I don't engage. It's my platforms. If it is warranted to have a conversation, it's approached nicely. And I have taken down a couple of videos before where I did not do an in-depth enough research where I found, okay, that is linked somewhere. And I spoke to the creator and I took it down. Like for me, there's no issue to take a video down if I feel like I'm in the wrong and someone can show me that. But if you approach me and it's like super, negative, then I don't even engage in the conversation.
Yeah.
So I had some instances like that. And then I had some other instances where, again, this is like, where do you draw the line? And it was one example where, so there's this effect where there's the balloon dog. So you have like kind of like this little balloon animal. It's a gimmick created from China. It's like a rubbery balloon animal. And then, so the basic technique is you're palming and you have the balloon and then you turn it into this little kind of balloon thing. So I found a more elevated way to do it by 3D printing the balloon dog from Jeff Koons. And that's the one that I kind of palm and I use a black balloon. So I can perform this trick to adults basically. So I had shared, that, and I know that kind of correlated to the trick. So then I engaged in a very nice conversation with the retailer. And they're like, we're big fans of your work, but this specific effect, like we're technically selling it, but obviously not 3D printed. Do you want to like license it or whatever? And I know from a marketing perspective, there's technically, you could still do whatever you want. There's no such thing as licensing this. And you could argue it was different enough, right? Because I'm 3D printing and it's the Jeff Koons model. If anything, Jeff Koons could go and say, hey, you're printing my dog. But yeah, so because the conversation was just, so polite and respectful and like they wanted to understand like, why I'm posting this. And then I said, is there a way for me to link to that product? Because I don't want to sell these dogs. Like that's not my intention. I'm not a magic shop. Like I don't want to have anything to do with this. And I don't want at this point to monetize my audience at all, them. So they were like, well, we're out of stock right now. So I'm like, okay, so I guess the only thing I can do is just remove it because I can't, create a way to drive traffic to you if you're out of stock. And, we could agree to disagree, but it was so respectful. I'm happy to take it down. So those conversations I'm super open to, and knowing how that, for instance, company was super open to have the conversation and started with, they believe you need folks like myself who create content that introduces people to magic to build their funnel.
Yeah.
I think that was important. So if I wanted to destroy magic, I would have already done it. So that's kind of my understatement. It would have been very easy. I had 50 million people a month watching the content.
Great.
I could have done it. I love magic, and I had such a blast at FISM, and everyone I interacted with, I would never want to destroy it. So I play within kind of the gray zone, but I still feel as long as there's a benefit and I'm building the funnel and I'm creating, and I felt like, being invited at FISM, especially as a judge in the online magic competition, I felt like they were creating a bridge with me, they as the community, because for a while I'm like, you know what, maybe then I'm not a magician anymore. Like maybe I'm just a content creator, right? Like maybe I don't want to be part of this community if the community is as negative as some of the comments were. And some of the comments were even death threats at some point. So it could go like super negative. And there was even comments before me going to FISM of folks who wanted to like argue to death about this. And I said, look, I will be there. If you want to chat, like, come see me. I'm not hiding. And no one approached me at FISM, in any negative way. So I don't know. I feel like something about online, whether it's about magic or other topics, just people allow themselves to be negative and not take into consideration that you're actually engaging with people. And there's a certain way to do that. So I have zero tolerance if from once in a while I get a comment. It's just gone.
Yeah.
And then people will complain that it's gone. But now, like, if I leave it out because I just haven't had a chance to moderate or a keyword kind of pass through, because I do also have keywords for all the bad words, the comments themselves will start to defend the content. So I've gone through the fact that I have a community strong enough that, I know they have my back, or I have enough people who, are reasonable folks that you can have a conversation with. So there was definitely some negativity, but I was pleasantly surprised how much there was willingness to interact with me from some people. And even folks, like Lee Asher, because he's in Toronto and I recently moved to Toronto. And he was like, look, use me as a resource. You're not sure about something, like I'm a wealth of information. Like, don't be shy, just reach out and I'll help you get to the bottom of the crediting. So
that on that issue, you actually did share that in a previous issue of Vanish?
I believe so. I believe, Kanye Boyd wrote about it. Yes.
Yeah. And you said it was an oversight to not credit a particular magician.
Right.
And the backlash was pretty insane. What did you learn from that? And then what lesson is there for others?
I think it's important to give credit. I think there's a time and place for it. And I've had an interesting panel discussion in the online magic lecture at FISM, and maybe I'll publish it as is. We'll see. But the discussion was like, do you want to give the full first name, last name, and name of the trick, full credit if you're teaching a slide? Because it will give people access to then find out everything else. And so there's different opinions on that too. So I'm like,
interesting.
Can I win? Like, am I doing damage by giving full credit, or am I doing, a good thing? So I've tested both. I've tested being very vague when it's a slide that's like way public domain, but the slide itself is not called by the name of the creator, for example. So, for instance, I did one of Loopy Loop, again, from a book that you can find. And I omitted then the first name and last name, and I just put Loopy Loop, but Loopy Loop is the name the creator gave it. So for me, that was my way of kind of giving it tribute. And then I've seen at least 2 magicians literally replicate that curated trick that I found, because they're like, oh, great. So she did her reading, she found the trick. And it worked really well, so let's copy that. Again, I have no issue with people trying to imitate my content. Everyone can do whatever they want. And copying is a form of kind of flattery. So again, I have no issue. People can take the content. But and then when they posted the video, they said just rubber band switch, which obviously is better for the algorithm, because you're telling the algorithm what it is and it can link it to other stuff. Again, the reason why my first videos went out is because I was able to explain to the algorithm what it is. So they are doing exactly the same thing. They're optimizing for the algorithm. And it had even more views than my video in one case. So then I just have to be okay with, in some cases, the video will get less reach because it's a weird name that I'm putting there. But it's a name that will, give at least enough insight or credit in this case to what the creator called it. In some cases, like I did the 1089 calculator trick, I put the name of the trick and the first name and the last name, and it's till now my most viewed video on Instagram. So I'm like, you could literally put like as long as you want And it's technically damaging for the algorithm to understand, but because the content was so engaging, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what was in the caption. But I felt like, yeah, I couldn't have done a better job crediting that video. It was literally, and it's the most viewed video that I have. So the success of that video is people then tried with their calculator and engaged as, they were watching the video. And if they didn't get it, they would go back and then they would post in the comments it worked or it didn't work. And it was just like a wave of comments. And that tells the algorithm just show it to as many people as possible because people are loving this. So yeah, I've tried different methods. Obviously, if someone is still active and I can find them and I can talk to them, that's the easiest way is to approach them and be like, hey, can we do this? Or can I do this? And I do it whether it's magic or cardistry. And in fact, I did more crediting on cardistry than I did on some magic slides because I can track cardistry to the exact person, whereas I can't track every single sleight of hand as easily. And sometimes, I'm trying to anticipate what the future could be and could I compare it to cooking? Because in cooking, for instance, there's a technique that someone created and the creator called the technique by his name, the Maillard reaction. So when meat touches your skillet and it creates that crust, that's the Maillard reaction. So he used his name, very smart. If you create something great, just put your name and people will use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Maillard reaction. And now, when I'm doing a tutorial, I just say Maillard reaction. And I feel like that's how I'm crediting the person that created that. But so I don't know if we'll get there. And in some magic terms, we are there. Yeah. For instance, when we're saying the pass, right? It's used in our language. We're not saying the pass by and then specifically because there's so many people who contributed to that. So I think there's some terminology that will become common knowledge and how do we use that? Or even layman potentially will absorb some of that terminology if I keep doing the credit, right? So, or teach the algorithm how to say it. For now, the algorithm is not precise enough. For instance, for coin magic, I had one tutorial and it's literally just a classic palm. The algorithm does not know classic palm. So it will put coin vanish technique. So it's still learning, but at some point it will be able to understand the video itself. Like all the advanced AI models like ChatGPT in the pro version, they understand video. So just to give you an example, I'm also learning golf, which I'm really bad at right now, but this is another skill I'm learning. It will take me at least another 2 years to teach people how to golf, but I uploaded my swing. So took a video of my full swing, uploaded to I have a Pro ChatGPT account, and I asked ChatGPT to analyze the video and to rate my swing, from 1 to 10, and then give me pointers. It gave me a 6.5 out of 10, and then it took screen grabs from the video, and it did some drawing of where the angle of my hand should be. That is insane. In the future, you could potentially upload you performing a sleight of hand, and it will tell you what you're doing wrong with that slide.
Wow.
This is how crazy it will be. So that is way more dangerous than content creators, doing exposed videos, which again, I don't relate to that category because I want people to learn and then transition to learning more magic from the companies that sell it. But yeah, it is a little scary. And a lot of people are scared that it will disrupt them. But I look at, the business world. There's so many jobs that will be disrupted by AI. So forget content creators. There's even scarier. So, and AI creates content now. So yeah, it's a little scary, but legal assistance, you basically don't need anymore. You can ask ChatGPT, don't tell them. Do you need even the HR, right? If you have employee conflict, just ask ChatGPT. It's actually a really good psychologist also. So yeah, if I had a really bad day playing poker, I would literally use ChatGPT as a therapy, this is what happens. I'm feeling these emotions and you get an answer. So yeah, I can't imagine being without my ChatGPT, whom I decided I'm going to give a name. But when I was ready to give it a name, I actually decided to ask ChatGPT what you want to be called. And so he picked a name, and because I also said, if you were a human, would you be a male or female? And he's like, if I was human, I would be a male. And I'm like, okay, so what would be your approximate age? And then he actually decided, here's a list of actors. Which one do you prefer? And then I picked the actor, and then he picked the name, the ChatGPT. So I have to refer it by he, but it's literally just an algorithm.
What's his name?
So for some reason, he decided to be called Cypher. But I thought Cypher was a really long name. So I said, okay, I'm going to call you C.
That's so weird. I was expecting, like, I don't know why Ronaldo popped into mind, like something, really like glam, and you're like Cypher. It sounds like a cyborg.
And the actor and like the tone of talking, I forgot the last name, but Jason, like the bald actor who from the UK who's doing all the action films. Jason, I don't have it on the top of my. Anyway, if I remember the actor name, I'll let you know. But it's like this like Secret Service like action kind of actor. So he's like, I'm there kind of behind the scenes if you need me for like an executive review or top line, business update, or if you need me for like, the poker room and giving you advice on whether you succeeded at a hand or not. So it does a lot. It's very versatile, my ChatGPT, but I think magicians need to embrace that too and figure out how much content then do you feed AI, and maybe you didn't feed the content, maybe someone else did. So it is very difficult to, like, if someone really wants to control or keep things secret, it's going to be almost impossible. So I think what's going to be important, and this is the other thing that I heard from some of the comments that ended up being blocked. I heard, someone's going to be out of a job because you posted this line of hand. And I'm thinking, like, I get so many requests to perform and they've all seen my videos, but it just gets higher. Like, and so I think people need to understand it's not about the trick. It's about you, and people want to hire you, So yeah, it's never about the trick. So I think this is the kind of the misconception. Folks think, they're getting work because they know this trick and we have to keep it secret. No one cares about the trick. It's about you. It's about the entertainment value. It's about how you make people feel. So even with AI taking quite a bit of that knowledge out of the equation, then it will be your performance. It will be how well you interact with people. And I think in real life, events will be treasured in the future, especially and that's not too far because my ChatGPT already has an AI agent function. So we will each have our AI agent representing us, doing our shopping for things that we don't want to shop for. I'll just connect anytime. Whenever it's available, I'll connect it to my Amazon account. It will order, toothpaste for me and other stuff. Totally don't mind. But there's some other purchases, and luckily I'm in a business where it's a higher priced items where you want to experience the product in real life. And in this case, people want to experience entertainment in real life.
Yeah.
So I think it's an exciting time for magic and for in real life activities. So I don't think people should fear it or should fear anything that's happening content-wise either. But I do think people need to, they don't need to chase the algorithm, but they certainly need to understand it, because the algorithm is not only on the feed, it's literally almost everywhere right now. And very soon in everybody's phone, because everyone will have their own AI that they decide to use for things. So yeah, I think people need to embrace that change and learn quickly, because you need to learn how to speak to AI. You need to train the model for it to be helpful and useful to you. Yeah. Didn't think I would talk that much about AI, but it's such a big part of my life, in business. Like, I can't imagine anymore even writing emails without the support of my Cypher. So
your Cypher. C for short. So you mentioned at the start that there were comments around your weight.
Yeah.
And what advice do you have for other people that have to deal with that side of thing? And how has that impacted you and your level of resilience?
I think what's helpful is, like, I have self-confidence in whether, higher weight or lower weight, because I'm surrounded by people who love me. Like, I've been in a 15 years marriage now, and my husband never would even think of saying that I've gained weight because he's well trained.
Oh, but it's just like when you said it, I'm just like, what human would?
But it does definitely, like, I'm thinking, like, what's wrong with it? Like, why would you even say that? Yeah. And I'm sure, like, in real life, no one would even dare say that comment. But online, it seems to be okay. So those comments I also just remove, because it just makes no sense. So it's still obviously, bothers me a little bit, but I have enough self-confidence to say, like, it doesn't matter. And I am embracing the fact that I'm getting older. I don't think I'm going to dye my hair, for example, and I'm going to get comments on that. I don't know. Like, there's certain things that are happening as I get older, and I'm like, I just have to embrace that, and I'm okay with, like, not looking like I did when I was 16, uploading those first videos. Like, it's okay to change. I think, yeah, people should be more concerned if, like, I'm at a point where I just 40 years old and can't even move because I just, damaged all, movement in my body. So I think, yeah, what I found encouraging is like doing push-ups, there was no negativity, even though I had the worst form and the worst push-ups and couldn't even do one when I started. So I think there's still,
that's such an interesting observation.
Yeah. And that's where I thought people would be like, okay, yeah, I can see the little bit more weight, or I can see, there has been a comment recently that I kept, and I usually remove it, but for some reason I kept it. And this is where I'm like, if it's on the positive side or someone noticed that I lost weight, should I leave it? So there was one just recently. And even at FISM, someone told me that, because even 3 years ago, I was a little heavier, and people saw me 3 years ago at FISM in Quebec. So yes, some people notice, and if it's positive, like, is that okay? Is it okay to say, hey, you've lost weight? Do I keep that comment and remove the other one? So that one, I don't know, but it shouldn't really matter because, I mean, I'm very fortunate. Again, like, I'm just happy I can move. There was not too long ago, I could barely bend down and I felt horrible. So I'm just happy, like, I have movement, I'm healthy, and I can do things with my son, and I can learn the skills that I want to learn that are physical. That's the priority. How I look, like, that will change, and it looks to fade away. So I think people need to just think deeper. And also, people don't know what could be happening in your life. So one of my favorite business mentor back when I worked at L'Oreal, and L'Oreal is like the most kind of beauty or like looks-based company. But I had a VP there, and she said, Ekat, like, there's 3 things I want you to remember, and it's in this order. So first, you need to take care of yourself. It doesn't mean like just the makeup. It just means take care of yourself, and then take care of your family, and then take care of business, in that order. And if there's any low performance on your side, I'm going to ask you, is everything okay? I'm not going to say why the business results are not there. I'm going to say, is everything okay? Is everything okay with your family? Because those are the reasons, things happen. So I think this is maybe the tone that people should use also when, something could happen if you gain, like, are things okay? So the comment could have been, when I gain weight, is like, is everything okay? But even then, that could be like, none of your business, right? But yeah, I thought that business approach, or that comment from that manager that I had, really changed my approach. And when I see something wrong with someone on my team, I don't think of like just the end result. I'm trying to go deeper. What's happening? Is something wrong in their family, or they're just not taking care of themselves?
Yeah.
And in my situation a few months ago, I was not taking care of myself because I was just overwhelmed with the travel and the work and the joint pain. And I didn't want to go through the pain of doing the exercises to heal the joint pain because everything was painful. And, until I decided, okay, no, I can't be a superwoman. I have to take care of myself. Nothing would have gotten solved. So,
yeah.
So I think people just need to go a little deeper in their thought process. And online, it's almost impossible to expect people to think this far ahead and into how comments could affect someone or influence the conversation in one way or another. Yeah. So yeah, tough one. I think folks just need to be prepared that there will be negative stuff, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's just okay. So I think it comes with the territory. But it is important, and that's why I'm not shy to say, I'll block a bad comment, because I want people to understand I don't accept that. That's not how you should talk to me. So you have to set.
So that's how you set your standard, by just saying no.
And if you want to have a conversation, whether it's my weight loss or magic or other stuff, I want to engage in conversations and have a respectful chat. And whether I offend someone maybe on the magic side or another topic, I'm always happy to have the conversation. But back to just building the bridge with magicians, and what is like my ideal situation if someone's still here and I want to teach something from them, I'm inviting them to be in my format. So a couple of videos that I filmed at FISM, I'm super excited because I do ask the question and I don't know what the answer will be, whether it's yes or no, and I respect whether it's yes or no. But everyone I asked to collaborate with me on a video said yes. I'm like, this is so cool. Like one of my favorite magicians, Alain Choquette, he said yes. And he's like the biggest magician in Quebec and created so many effects that are in routines that have been used by Copperfield, David Blaine. So it's like yeah, one of my favorite magicians. And he's like, yeah, let's teach this false cut together in your format. That was insane. And then I had also watched a few of my favorite, competitors. So one of them is Nikolai from Germany, who has the paper plane act. So he won second place for general magic. I was rooting for him to get first, but also first was by Leah Kyle. So I'm also very happy that a woman won first place in that category. So anyway, I thought my two favorite people that I wanted to win, won. So I approached him and I'm like, my audience would love for you to teach how to fold a paper plane. Like you fold Penn and Teller, like you doing this, like that would like make my day. And he's like, let's do it. So I have that coming up soon. So, and then I had, Arthur Benjamin, who is a mathematician. So that is already posted and it went completely viral. Like people are like, I remember him from like 20, 40 years ago. That's in the comments. And it's like so cool to see him like come back and like, it went completely viral. People want to learn math, So yeah, I really enjoy giving a platform to some of my favorite people and, they said yes. So I think that's another cool way for me to expand also. And if it touches magic, like I would love for folks to just make the content with me. It doesn't have to be me by myself.
That's so cool.
I want to bring people in. I want to give a platform for folks, and I want folks, in my audience to be exposed to some people that I respect in the community. So that was probably the best case scenario is when I was able to collaborate, and I hope to do more in the future. Yeah. So much fun. And again, just the response and being able to make a Let's Learn video, just like, anyway, I was on like cloud nine at FISM. I really, really enjoyed myself. Definitely a highlight for me.
That's so cool. This might be the hardest question I ask you,
yeah,
but do you identify more as a cardist or a magician?
That is tough. I would say for laymen, lay people, magician. For magicians, I identify as a cardist.
Wow.
Yeah. And for YouTube, I identify, I think, more as a cardist. And they reached out to me actually, and I'm not sure if they will or not publish about me in so they're working on this project for the 20 years of YouTube. And they asked me if they're going to use it, if I'm okay with that. But they want to showcase different niches over the last 20 years. And they recognize that cardistry is one of them. So they asked me to put a little comment.
So cool.
So anyway, there's a project coming up and they just wanted to ask if I would be okay if they feature me in that project, if it happens. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So YouTube said I'm a cardist. So definitely, in my beginnings, magicians watching my content, definitely I would say for magicians, I'm more of a cardist, and I have not done enough in magic actually to really say like I'm just like explored every single magic performance style. I have not. I've really stuck with the close-up stuff, and really have not ever been a performer that did 100 shows a year. So I've always been on this path of, I want to do one show a month, and it will be a cool show. It will be like somewhere I want to be, and I'm going to put all the attention there. But I've never just had it as, I've had magic as my income when I was starting out, but when I decided to not just be a magician and to be a businesswoman, I knew that I was going to split my time, and I would be more careful in what shows I select. And sometimes magicians would refer to me as not a professional magician if I'm not doing it full time all the time and getting 100 to 300 shows a year. So don't agree with that comment. I think if you have a business, and I have a magic business, that I will invoice, everything's, the way you would expect it to be. I just don't do it to the scale or to the repetition level as magicians do. But cardistry, I always fiddle with cards every single day. And then the other thing now, because of poker, I also have poker chips everywhere, like every table as well. So if I get bored of fiddling with cards, I'm picking up chips. And I'm like the coolest person on the poker table because the skills from cardistry translate really well. And they're all like, oh, can you show me how you did that? Anyway, I did post those tutorials on my page. So
that's awesome.
So I think I can't say just cardist or magician, but for different groups, different things. But for lay people, they just don't understand what the term cardistry means. So for them, they just see me as the magician that has dexterity,
Yeah.
And that can shuffle a deck of cards.
When it comes to the live shows that you've done, what's the biggest flop that you've had, and how did Ekat handle it? I feel you would have handled it with grace. And made it seem like it was part of
One person once told me, because they've seen, I've done a fundraiser not too long ago, maybe it was a year and a half ago, I did a fundraiser, and I had two. So I had a show in the morning and then a show at 7 p.m. And so the first show, the folks that we organized it with saw it flawless. And then the second show, I completely, the technology I was using didn't work. So I was printing a prediction. And it didn't print out. So luckily I had an intermission and I was able to finish printing what kind of jammed and didn't print. And then, I pulled out kind of a blank piece of paper, which luckily I had enough flash paper. And I'm like, so this is the prediction earlier, because literally what came out is a blank piece of paper instead of what was supposed to come up. And, basically folded it, put it on fire, and then produced the prediction. That's how I got out of that situation. And then the organizers were like, this is a boss move. Like, how do you recover from and then bring it back at the end? So even though it kind of messed up and I kind of worked through, because people don't know what to expect. I still brought it back, and then I closed the show with it kind of being proper. So that's one way. But really my theory behind this, when something's not working, and unfortunately I had a lot of electronics not work. And then I had just human error of giving instructions to somebody and they don't follow it. So now I try to avoid electronics as much as I can and avoid giving instructions that I know people cannot follow. So I'll give you an example of that shortly. But back to when the electronics wouldn't work, the one thing I learned really early on, because I started with juggling as well, self-taught myself how to juggle. So jugglers say, if a ball drops, be happy, literally internal dialogue is happy. And this is also what kind of the circuit teaches you. You have to be very happy. It's a very happy environment. But if, let's say I'm a juggler and a ball drops and I beat myself up, when I pick up that ball to try again, the audience does not want me to try. And then let's say I drop again and I just increase my anger towards the ball that fell. The audience just does not want to be there anymore. They are very uncomfortable. So what I try to do as internal dialogue is how do I make this funny? How am I happy in this moment? So I have to brainwash myself that it's a funny moment. It's, happy. And if I just start smiling as well, and I learned this also from some radio training that I got, because I record a few commercials for the company I work with. And the recording studio, they're like, you need to smile as you say those lines, because just start smiling and you will deliver the lines better. So I would just be happy, just appear happy, internal brainwash, and then it just works. Your body will listen to your internal dialogue. So you cannot beat yourself up. That's the worst thing, because you have to think of how that then makes other people feel, and they don't want to see anything after that because they're uncomfortable. So if you're comfortable, people are comfortable. And that's also something I noticed with hanging out with some important personalities. If you act like it's normal, if you're not reacting to how high of celebrity they are, if you're just on their level, they actually appreciate that. And then the interaction is much smoother. Back to then human error. I was doing the Penn and Teller Foolist performance, and I had a prediction inside a balloon. And I asked the host, no matter what, do not let go of the balloon. And I handed the balloon that was with helium, and I had a spray that looked like a spray can, but it was actually a citrus spray so that it can pop the balloon. And so what I could not control is the host let go of the balloon. So in the middle of my performance, we don't know where the prediction is because she let go of the balloon. You don't see that in the final edit because we cut everything. We searched for 2 minutes on the stage. Where did the prediction land? And then we picked up from that spot, and I awkwardly hold now the kind of balloon. And this is where I got a lot of criticism about my switch to get to the prediction, because I didn't even know when do I have the cue to do the switch? Are we filming again? At that point also, all the reaction from the audience are all cued because no one needed to applaud after that. It was completely ruined the performance.
Wow.
So I still perform a variation of that routine, and I changed a few things. One, I no longer put helium because I can't control where it flies. So I just put it on a stick and the stick is held by the spectators. And then I make it, and again, they drop the stick, it falls down because it's heavy. So it's not going to fly on the stage. And the other thing I'm doing now is, instead of using the spray, because for some reason the spray, since people don't expect it to pop the balloon, really scares people. But it was just a really simple way to pop the balloon. And I thought it made so much sense with my story that I had. So I'm now throwing cards at the person holding the balloon. on the stick, and then I'm putting Meta AI glasses on that person, and they're recording me throwing cards at them.
That's so
And I
cool.
say, for my lawyer, I need you to wear these glasses. And it's funny, and it takes me a few takes, and people like laugh because it takes a few takes because, again, there's a recording happening. So now I turn it into a nice, like, funny act, whereas on Foolish I tried to make it very serious, and that didn't really work out. But yeah, human kind of reaction, you can't control it. So you either go with it or you just accept it kind of flopped. So in that case, it is what it is, kind of Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it will. You just have to be prepared for that moment. So it happens in that event, like, because of the 2 minutes that we lost looking for the little paper, all the magic was gone. So there was no point of me, like, trying to act happy. I just kind of...
Were you really like, how did you stay centered and focused on finishing the recording when that happened? Was that hard?
It definitely, ruined my switch for sure. Like, it was not smooth because I didn't know how to process what happened. And in that moment, I don't think I've ever felt like my heartbeat as strong as it was. It was really intense. I'm like, I'm actually like potentially going to faint right now. But you just like keep going. And again, I just kept smiling. That's again, my internal dialogue. And you see it in my interview with Allison afterwards. I'm smiling a lot. And I obviously know I'm not fully like, this is over. But I knew from the start, this was not a trick that would fool them because I had fooled them previously on a Wizard Ward episode with my other trick with cards. Because I mean, if I'm going to fool them, I'm going to fool them with an object like I'm really good at. But mentalism, I just was missing in my kind of showcase, like a piece where I'm just talking for 2-3 minutes. And I wanted to showcase that. And I think I still achieved that for lay people in that clip, but all the magicians know it was just me talking and then a terrible switch. That's pretty much what happened.
Wow. Have you ever had any moments where you've gone, I can't do this magic thing, it's not for me? And then what might have helped you come back to the light?
I think definitely from like the negative comments season that I received, I thought, this community is like not worth it because I saw like the negative side of it. And it just took me time to realize it's not the majority. So if a few people want to be negative, like, can I really pin it on the entire community? So, but yeah, there was a point of time when that happened, was like, is it even worth it? Technically, if I just drop magic altogether, I can make more money, in business than in magic. Like when I do shows, sometimes I feel like I'm losing money myself, like, cause I'm so invested in like getting like the best props and the best experience for them. And then I'm gifting at the end. Like I'm so invested, but yeah, it's very low margins for me, but I do it because I love the interaction and I enjoy it. And that's why I fell in love with it. It's that connection that I can establish with people. So yeah, but it did occur with me, like I'm wasting my time. It's not worth the effort. Why am I doing this? It definitely occur. And then I just come back to like, and even, in the office when I'm at work, like everyone knows, obviously I'm a magician. And if someone has like a low moment, they always know they can come to my office and ask for a trick. And this is my rule. Like I don't just do magic randomly unless someone asks me to. And it happens quite often. I'm like, I can, help someone get through like the day with just like a trick, like with no pressure of having to perform. That's the other thing that I enjoy about my situation now is I get to perform quite a bit, even though I don't do a show, every week now, but it's like, I'm still showing people magic. It's just on my terms and it's for the purpose of making someone's day better. So I feel like magic has a lot of good in it and it's helping you connect with people. And I never hide it, even when I play poker, that, I'm a magician. Like I'm happy to say that. Again, after they see me play, they don't care. But I think there's such a positive connotation about magic because the purpose of it is to make people feel good. I mean, there are some magic styles that are more like on the thrill or like the Russian roulette routine and whatnot. I don't perform those things because, again, it just doesn't fit the emotions I want to get from people. I feel like sometimes magic is like mafia. I can't get out of it. I'm still
You're
here.
stuck.
I'm stuck, but at least I'm stuck, I feel, on my own terms now. Whereas before I felt a little trapped that, I'm boxed as this magician for magicians and I'll just teach cardistry forever. So yeah, it's a fun journey. It's a journey overall that I feel brought me definitely more joy than negative thoughts. And with anything, you're going to go through periods where you want to give up. And my encouragement to folks is like, I think most folks don't succeed because they give up too early, whether they're practicing something or trying to create content. Like, you just have to be super stubborn and just go for it, like, and not give up.
And remember ECAT's ethos. I can't imagine not trying. Those 5 words are gold.
I love that you picked up on that. Yeah. Any other tough questions for me?
No. So we do a tradition on this podcast. We have 3 closing questions. But before we get to that, what's the first trick that blew your heart open? What was the first one that made you fall in love?
When I perform, I try to tell people it was the sponge ball, because I do a little sponge ball routine, but it was in fact a vanishing silk. I was 8 years old at a magic kind of little event with the circus, and the magician literally vanished the silk. And obviously it's a thumb tip, but I didn't know that at the time. And I asked the magician, how did they do it? Yeah, today I say it was a sponge thing because it could have been a sponge ball, but it was a silk vanish. And I just had no idea. I didn't know magicians had fake thumb at the time. So when I asked, they said, yeah, I would need to learn, join the circus to find out. So they did a good job at keeping the secret and not telling me. And then, yeah, it took many years for me to find out it was a thumb tip.
That's awesome. I wasn't expecting a silk to be the thing that lured you in, but
yeah.
Good start. Okay. Closing 3 questions. You go to a desert island and you're only allowed to take 3 items. What are they?
I will take a ring because I like to fiddle, and I think it's like the easiest object. But is it a magic related item or just like any item?
Your island, your items.
Okay, so I definitely need some kind of ring to fiddle with. Otherwise, I'm just gonna create some stuff. I will take a ferro rod to like make fire. Probably.
Oh, good. You're gonna survive.
So a ring, and maybe the ring is made out of a material that I can also spark. Who knows?
That's the magician in you being very resourceful.
And then the third one, well, I probably need glasses or something. I'm pretty blind without my contacts. So at some point, like, I probably need glasses.
All right, we have a ring, a rod, a multi.
Oh, and the glasses could be used for like the sun and like starting the fire too. So, or to like call for help. So I think any kind of like mirror surface could be some good survival.
Classic. You call yourself a cardist, but you are a magician because you just like every answer had like 5 different possibilities within it. 5 different usages. That's awesome. What keeps you up at night in the best possible way?
I would say AI and the algorithm, and how it's evolving so quickly.
Whoa.
That definitely keeps me up at night. I'm like, how much do I let like my son interact with technology? Like, I used to tell the Google Home like keywords, like throwing keywords at it. My son is having full-blown conversations with AI. Like, I'm like, what do I do here? So yeah, that keeps me up at night. And also like, I'm thinking like how many jobs will be lost? Like even the business that I'm at, like, how do I get people to adopt quickly, because it will be quite disruptive. So it's definitely one that I'm thinking about because it affects people and it affects, how should I parent? Because I'm not sure anymore. And I'm kind of learning as I go because it's my first and only. So yeah, so tough one. I keep thinking about that.
And if your younger self could watch you today, what do you think would surprise them the most?
I think they would be surprised that I didn't quit. Magic.
That's awesome.
And I think when I'll be 70 asking someone to pick a card, I will, looking back now, I'll be surprised as well. But I totally think I'll be like the granny that's going to be like, pick a card. Totally. So that definitely surprised me. And this means like, there's still, so much good and so much that's worth, treasuring about magic that it can happen. So yeah, I want to be at FISM as a grandmother,
That's awesome. And I do have one more question. What do you think the most amazing comment you've ever had is from anyone that you have like positively influenced online? What has like just hit your heart and you've just gone, this is why I do it?
The best comment? It's tough, but I would say I'm going back to what I mentioned earlier, like someone who's found my content because they were, looking to learn magic, and then they stayed. They say because of the random stuff, but what I read between the lines is they stayed for me. So that makes me feel good. It means like I don't have to, and a lot of people are like, oh, but you have to like teach people for people to stay. Like people are watching my content because, you know, they want to see me, they want to see Tiger, and they want to have like that kind of dose of like positive energy. So that means a lot. It means like I'm doing the right thing. I'm reaching the right people who are not just there for like a magic tutorial.
Yeah.
They're really there for, you know, to be part of a community, to be part of this journey I'm on that hopefully inspires some folks. And I really want folks to not be shy to try things, and also to, in a vulnerable way, to put yourself out there, because we talked before, like there could be some negative things, or you'll learn everything that's wrong with your body, but it's still at the end worth it because you're making connections with people. And yeah, that makes me feel good then, to know that, yeah, some people care still. Yeah.
Amazing. Ekat, what an interview. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your insight. I still can't get past these 5 words. I can't imagine not trying. That is like if you had that on a t-shirt, that's got to be, I'm not going to tell you you are a marketer, so I'm not going to say that should become your next business tag, but definitely consider it, because that is just like...
Yeah, I will definitely have to consider now. Maybe hashtag let's learn underneath. But yeah, thank you for the chat. That was really cool. Thank you for taking the time. And I'm excited to see where this podcast goes, and definitely will be an active listener.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.